Welcome to the Accomplish More podcast, created specifically for the small business owner who doesn't think small. I'm your host, Gayla Scrivener. This show is where you'll learn practical ideas, hints, tips, and tricks to help you grow your small business where you can leverage your time and to accomplish more. Hello there, and thanks for joining me today for another episode of the Accomplish More podcast. I'm your host, Gayla Scrivener, and today I'm focusing on tools. Not like those tools my husband has and he uses to work on our vehicles or our house. No. Today, let's talk about the tools we need as entrepreneurs. Tools are created to scratch an itch, so to speak. You start with a problem and someone creates a tool to help you solve that problem. But here's the thing. There are a ton of tools out there to solve the same problem. How do you choose? You can easily get lost in a maze of rabbit holes when trying to make your selection. It doesn't have to be hard or complicated. When choosing tools to help us run our business, we have to look for things that fit within our budget and maybe even the ease of use. And sometimes it's just, hey, it looks better than another one. Sometimes we choose something to get us started until we can grow into another system that will fill our needs better. The reason for so many tools to do the same job is that all of our brains work a little bit differently. To one person, one system is easy peasy, and yet to another person, it's cumbersome and they gravitate to something else. As virtual assistants, my team and I work with a lot of tools. We must be open-minded and flexible. It's up to our clients to choose what tools and systems they like using. It's up to us to achieve the outcomes they desire. Being exposed to so many tools gives me a big advantage when I put on my consulting hat. When I consult with clients as they navigate in organizing their processes, we discuss what they want to accomplish. I get to know them and make suggestions of the tools based on what fits them best. Many times, my clients have chosen tools but don't know where to start in using them effectively. They're at a loss. Ultimately, they don't want to do everything themselves forever. They want to scale their business and want things to be easier for them, and the tools they get will get them there. You as an entrepreneur must fill 5 needs, and you select tools that fit within those 5 categories. The categories are 1. Customers, 2. Finances, 3. Time or organizing your time, 4. Communication, and 5. Marketing. Now let's take a closer look at each one of those categories and go into a few examples of the kinds of tools that would fit in each of those categories. First, customers. You need to keep track of your customers, and you should have some sort of customer database, also known as a CRM or Customer Relationship Database. On the most simplest level, a CRM will consolidate your customer information and documents so that you can easily access it and manage it. As you grow your business, you add layers to your CRM to help you track even more aspects about your relationship with your customer. My background is from managing medical offices, so my brain thinks in terms of medical records. Not so long ago, all medical offices had filing cabinets and shelves filled with medical records. Every time a patient would come in, we would pull their record and document. There were sections to the medical record, and everything had its place. There was a section for their demographic and insurance info, a section for labs and x-rays, a section for outside records and surgeries and correspondence, and the main section for recording their office visits. Now, pretty much all medical offices have converted to some sort of an electronic medical record. So all of that info is stored in a database instead of filing cabinets. It saves a ton of space. Also, more than one person can access the info at the same time if needed. You shouldn't have to search all over the office for a record, only to finally find it hours or even days later buried on a physician's desk. Those good old days. I had quite a bit of experience trying to track down a patient's chart. Also, in a medical office, our CRM consisted of keeping track of patients' appointments and billing. We would enter all the patient demographic and insurance info into a system. There was a calendar associated with the database so that we could assign the patient an appointment. We could bring up any given patient and see a list of their future and past appointments. We could see how many appointments they kept and how many they canceled, even how many they no-showed. We could see which ones were billed to the insurance company, which ones were paid, and which ones were still outstanding. That was a ton of useful information that is needed to keep the office running smoothly. Now, I jumped out of the medical field and into business for myself, and I knew that a customer database was key, no matter how small my business. I knew from the very beginning that I needed to find a system that would be easily shared with the team that I would eventually have. For me, I didn't need to have all the bells and whistles that some systems do have. It certainly needed to be different than what I was used to in the medical field. I ended up choosing for my basic CRM for my company a system called Less Annoying CRM. I learned about it from a client. One day several years ago, when I was talking with this client, he mentioned that he had trouble tracking his customers and prospects. He needed a system to track his leads and helping him follow up on those leads to turn into customers. During our conversation, he said he was paying monthly on a subscription for a service that he really didn't know if it worked to serve his purpose or not. He was thinking about canceling. That's when he introduced me to Less Annoying CRM. I immediately saw the potential of how it would help him. We worked together to come up with improving the way he used the system that he already had. I eventually started using Less Annoying CRM for Scrivener Solutions. I use it in a way that fits with how my brain works. When I started using it, for me, it was a place simply just to list my contacts. Then I started using it more and more and using all the features it has to offer. Now, there are a ton of CRM systems out there. I don't think Less Annoying CRM is the best fit for everyone. There are industry-specific CRMs that may serve you better. For example, a massage therapist would be better served in using a system like ClinicSense. Again, that is not the only system for massage therapists, but it's just an example. Customers are the center of what you do. Having a system to keep track of them and your potential customers is a must. It's not just a good idea. It is essential. Many people I know work in network marketing. Most network marketing companies have CRMs for their reps to use. Some are better than others. My first suggestion is to use what you have first. Explore to see the advantages and disadvantages. If you work within a network marketing group, whether the CRM that is provided to you accomplishes the goals you want to achieve, that will determine if you should look for another tool to work with or not. Now let's shift and let's talk about the second need you must fill as an entrepreneur. You've got to think about your finances. You need tools to keep track of your expenses and income. Don't keep track of it in your head. I'm begging you. I know of people that think they know in their head how much money they are spending and who owes them what. And actually, they may be a little depressed because they feel their income isn't where they want to be, so they'd rather not deal with it, so they procrastinate about doing anything financial and tracking until they are under the pressure of gathering things up at tax time. And that is entirely too stressful. You can't wait once a year to know where you're at with your finances. You need to watch and plan all throughout the year. And tracking your financials isn't about looking and seeing how much money is in your bank. No, you need to know exactly how much you're spending in various things like advertising, like your tools, your networking, repairs, travel, whatever. Having this information will allow you to make better decisions on what to continue to keep and what you may need to invest in now or wait to spend money on something later. Besides, if you make it a point to consistently track your numbers and do the bookkeeping a little at a time, tax time isn't nearly as stressful. I happen to use QuickBooks because I've used it for so long. It's something that is widely used and affordable. I have to tell you though, I don't necessarily love it. I can't tell you the reason why. I'm just ho-hum about it. I've tried using other accounting tools, but for me, because of my familiarity with QuickBooks, I use it for my company. I haven't moved to QuickBooks Online yet. I'm still on the fence about it. I don't really like some of the features the online version has that my desktop version has. But the big disadvantage with the desktop version is that it's harder to delegate the bookkeeping task. We have to do some desktop sharing, which isn't ideal, and only one person at a time can be in the system. For right now, it works for me. As I think to the future, I do periodically do tests on other systems. I recently did a test on an online competitor for QuickBooks. I spent time assessing how it works and found that it's not the right tool for me. It was time well spent to eliminate that product. When I'm ready to transition my bookkeeping to an online version versus a desktop, at this point, I'll probably choose QuickBooks. Since I have a system that is working well for me now, there's no reason to make the change at this point. I'll keep with what I have and focus on implementing other tools that are higher priority and that I need right now. You may be surprised that even though you think you know how much money you're spending on certain things, you need to track it, because I can't tell you how many times I've worked with folks who started tracking their finances and they started having aha moments. The reports put things into perspective. Besides tracking expenses, tracking your income is super important. You may have an idea in your head who owes you what, and that's fine when you're super small. But as you grow and you have more things on your mind about everything, there will be a tendency to forget. Besides, you may want to categorize your income. For example, I will track income differently for those clients that I consult with versus receiving consistent virtual assistant services. I also have a category strictly for income coming in from content creation and designing of direct mail newsletters that we do, and the income that is produced within our company for print products like business cards and brochure orders. When I categorize like this, I can see if I want to grow a service line or not. Maybe I want to keep it, or even it might be something that I shouldn't offer anymore. I believe that it's important to track your finances. It's better to start when you're small and create those systems so that you can scale them later, and then it helps you with your decision making as you grow. The third thing that all of us as entrepreneurs must be super aware about is how we manage our time. There are an abundance of tools out there that help people organize their time, whether it's project management tools, calendars, to-do lists, and reminders. There isn't a shortage of tools, for sure. We as entrepreneurs must use our time wisely and have systems in place to help us become more efficient. It may be having you get used to something like Google Calendar instead of your handwritten calendar. I like to have everything in my Google Calendar so that I can share it with people I need to. I got used to using Google Calendar when I first started my business. I used to use Outlook for my calendar and appointments when I worked in the corporate world. But for me, I thought Google would be easier as I was starting my business. And it is. I can block off times. I can highlight days. I make reminders. I use it like crazy. When I'm working in my office, I always have a browser tab up with my calendar showing. I have it on my phone, and when I'm on the go, I can look at it. I've got it linked to my less annoying CRM. I've shared it with my team. The reason why I thought it was so important to have an electronic calendar was that I saw the opportunity to delegate. By having my calendar shared with my team, I can ask for help setting up and confirming appointments. I don't have to do all of that task. I can share the responsibility. It makes things much more streamlined, and it keeps me organized. Every week, I have meetings with members of my team. That's where we can come together about our projects and what's coming up. And Norma on my team helps me stay on top of my appointments. When we meet, she looks at the upcoming week and lists off the meetings I have that she is planning on confirming. I may or may not have changes. I may have talked with someone and needed to cancel an appointment, but forgot to reflect it on my calendar. So Norma fixes it. Having Norma holding me accountable to my calendar keeps me organized. Sometimes I even have Norma set appointments for me. She knows the parameters of what days and times I'm free, and then she can put it right there on the calendar. If I were carrying around a paper calendar, this process would be much more difficult. What's cool about linking my Google Calendar with my CRM is that I'm able to attach appointments to my contacts. That way I can get a nice list of the activity in my CRM. I love how those tools work together. Project management tools also help keep you mindful of your time. Our team uses Asana for our projects. I think I've been using it now for about 3 years. I've tried a few other systems, but I didn't like them. When I tried Asana, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't sure that I was in love with it, but I knew any project management system would have its complexity. I needed to choose a system and stick with it and learn it to its fullest. Over time, I've made changes of how the projects and the tasks are arranged in Asana. As I've learned more about the system, I make changes on how the flow of the process should go. I can better identify the tasks I should keep and which tasks I should delegate to my team. As we grow and gain more clients, it's more important than ever to know what stage of a project is in and what tasks should be done on a consistent basis. It gives me a better idea how to build in efficiencies into our processes. Improve communication with my team and clients. Now, is Asana right for everyone? No. I know plenty of people that don't like it at all. It's not right for them. There are tools out there that, depending on the industry you're in, that is much better suited for you. I'm working with someone at the moment that we are in the search for some sort of checklist or project management system that will work with how her brain works. I know right away that Asana isn't for her. She's tried many things. She gets overwhelmed, then drops the system altogether. There's no doubt about it. Project management systems can get way too overwhelming. We have a ton of things to do, and we want to do them in such an unreasonable amount of time. We as entrepreneurs, let's say, have this warped sense of how much we can do in a day. We pile on our tasks and set a due date for today and are sorely disappointed when we see in black and white that we didn't get everything done. I too suffer from biting off way more than I can chew on occasion. That's something that I continually work at. The reason for a project management system is to help you chunk things down and have a visual and timeline on moving forward toward completion of your goal. Also, if you work with several clients and do different jobs for them, as we do at Scrivener Solutions, if you work with more than just a few clients, it gets hard to remember due dates and what tasks you're doing for whom. Tools to keep that straight saves you a ton of time in the future. Now, the fourth thing that you need to keep in check is your communications. Of course, you have to think of things like your phone system and your email. But for me, I wanted to set up a system for my phone that even though at first I would be answering all the calls all the time, I wanted to have the opportunity to get help answering my business phone. Besides, I don't want my personal cell number on my website. I also don't want to carry two phones. At the moment, I use Google Voice to route my phone calls. It works well for me at this point. Now, I have used a system called eVoice before and found it worked very well and had features that Google Voice doesn't offer. I don't use it because I don't need all of those features for the size of my business. Within the communication category also involves how you'll send your emails. Having a company branded email, I feel, is super important. A much better solution than using a free account like Gmail or Hotmail. It certainly helps with your branding, but more than that, you'll need a solution for bulk mailing. Tools like MailChimp or Constant Contact are great starting points for many small businesses. Then there's those more fancy tools with many more bells and whistles built in, like Infusionsoft. Your bulk mail tool you choose also crosses over into the fifth category that every entrepreneur needs to pay attention to, and that's your marketing. So many things can be considered tools of the marketing trade, from your website and what platform you prefer to build your website on, platforms like WordPress or Squarespace. I even consider social media a tool. My perspective that it serves as a great communication and marketing tool. You may use tools like Google Docs or Microsoft Office to make flyers, letters, and design presentation slides. Oh wait, there again, Google Docs and Sheets or Microsoft Office are tools that cross over into the communication category. Actually, there are many tools that work together very well and serve in more than one category that I've listed. As you add tools, you'll see how they complement each other so that you are more efficient. There are a couple of things that I would caution you on when picking out tools for your business. Don't let your indecision of what tool to use slow down your progress. Sometimes I see people agonizing for months over what to choose for, let's say, a bulk mailing service. Should they choose MailChimp or Constant Contact? It doesn't matter. They serve the same purpose. They are comparable when it comes to the small business budget. Each of them do the exact same thing, but they do have differences. I'm actively working in both because different clients use different systems. I can honestly say that I like parts of both of them, and both of them have quirks that drive me nuts. I like some aspects of reporting in one over the aspects of reporting in the other. I like how one's layout looks and feels better than the other, but I like how the contacts can be arranged and categorized better in one over the other. Again, they both do the same thing, but neither one works exactly how my brain works and how I'd like to see things work. That's why there's no perfect system. Everyone's brain works just a little bit differently, and that's okay. I'm glad there are great people out there to see a need to a problem and create the tools to fix and solve those problems. And I'm glad that there are choices out there in the marketplace too. Another example about choosing between two systems that are basically the same is that I use Buffer and Hootsuite extensively with clients. I get Hootsuite and I know how to use it and really don't mind using it. It serves its purpose. But honestly, the reason why I chose Buffer for my social scheduling for Scrivener Solutions, the screens just look simpler and not nearly as cluttered. It's just a personal preference. I just think it looks prettier. I don't know. Buffer works well for me, and I like it. but someone else may think Hootsuite or even another scheduling tool is perfect for them. I see all too often people dragging their feet on selecting a tool, and I've been guilty of it myself on occasion. Primarily, I think it's a symptom of procrastination or a stall tactic because of being unsure or not confident in either making the choice or venturing to dive into something new. It's important to do your research and get a good feeling that what you are investing in will help you accomplish your goal. But don't let too much research and indecisiveness slow your progress. When doing your research, you should include talking with people to see what they use and how they use it. You'll get great ideas. Sometimes it's worth having a consultation to do an assessment of what your problem is that you're trying to solve and have help doing the research and setup and training for it. I recently had a referral come my way for a business owner who needed help creating a website. I don't consider myself a website designer. However, my team and I work behind the scenes on a lot of websites. We primarily use WordPress, but also have experience in other platforms as well. Having a website developed from scratch is quite an investment, but there are a lot of do-it-yourself templates out there that makes it possible to get started with a website within a smaller budget. There are folks out there that feel at a loss as where to start even with the do-it-yourself websites, and that's okay. This day and age, a web presence is absolutely a necessity. Now, this referral knew it, but he didn't know where to start. His budget was limited, but reasonable. Before I consulted with him, I had it in my mind, this preconceived idea that my team and I would help him create a simple WordPress site, just to get him by. But then, during our conversation, I realized what his true needs were. He had started his research and found a do-it-yourself type shopping cart website that was exactly within his industry. He was unsure whether to purchase the monthly subscription or not and was nervous about how to set it up just to get it up and working. I love consulting with people like him. We had a great conversation and we set out a plan. He had already started his research and I realized he didn't have the confidence to pull the trigger. Instead of worrying about designing something from scratch, my team is assisting in doing the legwork and getting things set up for him. We'll even train him on the parts that he needs to use on a regular basis. With him seeking out consultation, he's making a good investment in saving his time and his energy in setting up the system he wants and needs. Far too often, a first website to get you started in the internet space doesn't have to be thousands upon thousands of dollars. You can have a good and professional presence on the web and then grow into a new site as your business grows and your need to expand the capabilities of your website. Another thing I caution you on is don't continually swap out tools that do the exact same thing just because you think the grass is greener. Most of the time, we aren't using the tools we've got to their fullest potential. The longer we use the program, the more you discover. I told you earlier that we use Asana for our project management system in Scrivener Solutions, and I'm not 100% in love with it, especially at first. And there were times that I wanted to dump it all together, mainly because I didn't understand how it worked and all its features that it has to offer. Before trying Asana, I tried Zoho, and for me, that wasn't the good option. When I started using Asana, there was enough there that I could grasp and could see the potential for, and I wanted to keep it. Now, having been at least 3 years later, my team and I have invested a ton of time and effort in learning the software, and we have created and gotten used to systems. We have become more efficient. If I changed systems now, it would be a big deal. I would have to expect a new learning curve for all of us. We would lose some efficiencies at first. Now, that's all right if I'm upgrading to a new system that would have many more features than Asana has to offer. I would be upgrading and working with a bigger budget. I would expect to pay for those bells and whistles, but it's ridiculous for me, in my mind, to switch from Asana to some comparable system with the same features and the same pricing. Why have a slowdown in production for something that does the same thing? I can see it if I had purchased something that was far too robust for what I needed, so I could get something else and stay within my budget. Or on the reverse side, we've grown so much that I need to invest into a more robust system. I'm always keeping my mind open about the possibilities, but don't want to dump tools and just go backwards. It's important to chunk things down. Learning and implementing any new system takes time. Depending on what it is will determine the stages of implementation. One of my favorite and most challenging projects that I've undertaken was a medical billing and scheduling system conversion for, if memory serves, it was a 10-office network of facilities. There was a conversion of data and training involved. It was quite an ordeal, and it took a lot of planning. We didn't turn off the old system one day and then turn on the new one the next. No, there was a period of time that we used both systems, especially for those of us in the billing department. I personally went to every single facility and spent a week at each one to convert the scheduling and charting system. And that scheduling and charting system was tied into the billing system. Our conversion took about a full year to implement. It was well worth it because our prior billing and scheduling system simply didn't fit our needs. It was a long transition to fully dump our old system, but being done in stages like we did it helped keep our stress level down and aided in the success of using the new system. Now, sometimes the tool selection slows people down because they are apprehensive in getting started with it. They may feel they aren't techie enough to figure it out. But I believe more often than not, it's because you are too blasted busy to slow down and figure out what to use and how to use it. Not everyone is like me and loves to learn all these new systems and see the similarities, the differences, the advantages, and the disadvantages. We're all wired a little differently. There is great value to have someone streamline your learning curve for you. There's value to getting personalized training that will cut to the chase and show you what you need to know and teach you the parts of how a system works so you don't have to figure it out all for yourself. There are tutorials out there for every system, but what they don't have is that personal touch in getting to know you as an individual and getting to know your business and have discussions on how a particular system works best for you. For some people, they need help putting it all together. They need help understanding what the tools are and how they can help make your business more efficient. Now, if this sounds like you, and if you have the belief in yourself that you aren't techie and feel at a loss as to being current with the stuff you need to know to increase your productivity and incorporate processes so that you can scale your business, then I invite you to join me in the Accomplish More Academy. It's a community of small business owners just like you where you'll learn all about some of the tools I've talked about today. I'm sure you've listened to other podcasts or had conversations with your peers with recommendations of programs you should be using, but have no clue where to start. That's okay. Maybe you just have a lot of uncertainties and are afraid to ask because it seems like everyone else knows what they're doing and you feel a little embarrassed that maybe you don't. That's okay. Again, The Accomplish More Academy is a place where we get down to the nitty-gritty and learn where to get started with the practical subjects like social media, email marketing, CRMs, and all of that jazz. And you learn to use those tools and integrate them into your business so you can work more efficiently. We put it in simple terms. But more importantly, you'll gain the confidence about working with the most popular tools and be able to manage your time and create a winning team to grow your business. You shouldn't feel like you're alone. So hop over to accomplishmoreacademy.com to learn more and see if it's right for you. A few final thoughts. Don't get caught in the maze of rabbit holes when it comes to selecting the right tool for your business. If you go down one of those rabbit holes, don't stay in there too long and fall in the trap of indecision. Have confidence in your decision. Seek the help you need to arrive at your decision and then just implement. Tools for your business are everywhere. We must make the decisions of what we should use for our business based on our budget, our business size, and even our personal preferences. There's no one system that does absolutely everything beautifully, but there are systems that work well together. It does take patience and persistence in learning new systems, so hang in there. And no tool works unless you use it. I do hope you enjoyed today's show. You'll find all the links to the tools I've mentioned today, plus more information about the Accomplish More Academy in the show notes. Simply go to scrivenersolutions.com/30. That's Scrivener's Solutions, SCRIVENER solutions.com/30. I appreciate you tuning in today, and if you have a favorite tool you'd like to use and share with me, feel free to drop me a note at podcast@scrivenersolutions.com. Until next time, have a fantastic week.